At Open Door, we want to make the process of buying and selling a house less intimidating, but some homes are just plain scary. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there are a ton of American cities that have been passed down through the ages with spooky tales. We've compiled a list of some of the creepiest locations, from haunted fortresses to graphic tales of agony and murder. Number 5. San Antonio, Texas is Victoria's Black Swan Inn. In San Antonio, Texas, Victoria's Black Swan Inn is a gorgeous 35-acre mansion and wedding location hidden among 100-year-old oak trees. It's a lovely setting perfect for a wedding, but it's also said to be haunted by the ghosts of people who have lived and passed away there. Constructed around the mid to late 1800s in an area where 60 Mexican troops lost their lives in the Battle of Salado 50 years prior, the Greek Revival Estate has had numerous owners, including well-known San Antonio socialites who are rumored to be haunting the property in the dead. The most haunted structure on the property is the barn behind the main house, which was formerly used as a dairy farm. It was the home of many of the previous tenants, including the families of Ripstein and Mahler. Subsequent residents included the sisters Blanche Woods and Catherine Holbrook, as well as Blanche's daughters and grandkids and Catherine's husband, who passed away in the house. It is said that nearly all of them haunt the estate. Though it's not a working inn, the gorgeous home's current owner, Joanne Rivera, lives there with her family and has welcomed paranormal investigators throughout the years. She also partners with nearby ghost tour organizations. As Rivera is an enthusiastic collector, some speculate that the paranormal activity could be caused by a particularly scary anchor item, a porcelain doll. For all the information and countless ghost stories, tune in to Dark House. Number 4. Sodden House, California, Los Angeles. At the base of the Los Feliz hillsides, this Mayan revival mansion was created by Frank Lloyd Wright Jr., the renowned architect's son. It rises over Franklin Avenue. Though the home's distinctive architectural style is undoubtedly remarkable, the block-type facade, which drew inspiration from the eerie yet alluring opening of a cave or an old tomb, may not be the most intriguing feature overall. Built for photographer John Sowden and his young family in 1926, the house was the scene of many bohemian parties for Hollywood's elite over the years. However, the house's destiny as the probable crime location of the Black Dahlia, America's most infamous unsolved cold case, was set when Dr. George Hodel moved there in 1945. Even though Elizabeth Short's murder is still unsolved, Dr. George Hodel emerged as a leading suspect in her tragic case by 1950, and many fans of true crime are persuaded that he was murdered within this famous Los Feliz mansion. In the latter half of the 20th century, the house underwent a few phases of abandonment, which added to its mystique and spookiness for onlookers. Several bystanders have noticed its eerie trappings, according to Steve Hodel, a former inhabitant, retired LAPD investigator, and Dr. Hodel's son. According to Steve, in the 1970s, the Hodel housekeeper returned to the house and informed the then current owner, "This is a house of evil." And on another occasion, Edmund Tesk pointed at the house adding, "It's an evil place." There, politicians, philosophers, accountants, and artists all came to play and make money. There have been murders. It is a bad location. Tamar, the daughter of Dr. Hodel, entered the house during that same period and reported seeing a young woman's ghost in the basement. Years later, in 2016, Tamar's daughter Fauna, who claimed to have seen the same spirit as her mother, and Ghost Adventures host Zach Bagans explored the Sodden house. Number 3. Street Louis, Missouri's Lemp Mansion. The Lemp Mansion in Street Louis, which is regarded as one of the most haunted locations in America because of its terrible past and ties to a wealthy beer baron, is a great place to start. It is an extremely spooky home. The first German immigrant to brew and market lager-style beer in the United States was Adam Johann Lemp. To keep the barrels cool before modern refrigeration, he kept them in an underground cave system beneath the city. Although it was successful, William Lemp, His son is credited with actually taking it to the next level. William Lemp and his wife Julia erected the Erie House in the famed Benton Park area over the cave system in the 1860s so they could be nearer to the industrial plant and raise a family. We smell a ghost. With the turn of the millennium, everything appeared to be going south, and William Lemp took his own life in 1904, the year his favorite son Frederick tragically passed away from tuberculosis complications. His wife also passed away from cancer in the home a few years later. Elsa Lemp, the youngest daughter, inexplicably passed herself in her home in 1920 rather than the Lemp Mansion. William Lemp Jr. shot himself in the same chamber where his father had died in 1922 after managing the business for years and witnessing it fail during Prohibition. From the 1930s until 1949, Charles Lemp, one of William Jr.'s brothers, resided in the house. He murdered his dog in the basement before taking his own life in his room. Reports of hauntings started that same year when Edwin, the only living Lemp child, sold the house and converted it into a boarding house. Among other things, witnesses have reported hearing scorching sensations, doors slamming, and hearing disembodied cries and groaning, according to Destination America. The Lemp Mansion is now a restaurant and hotel that hosts a variety of events, such as ghost hunts, murder mystery dinners, and weddings. Number 2. The Gary, Indiana, Ammons House. LaToya Ammons, her mother, and her 3 young children moved into a modest, single-story house in Gary, Indiana, in 2011. A few short months later, Ammons took her family to the ER in an attempt to extricate them from demonic possession, following what was reported to be the worst demon infestation in a home since the Amityville Horror. Following thorough examinations by law enforcement, local church members, hospital personnel, and the Department of Child Protective Services, the witnesses were divided. Half blamed psychological problems. The other half thought the family was possessed by something paranormal, and the house was infested with spirits and demons. Similar to how the best-selling book about the Amityville house became a nationwide phenomenon, this contemporary demonic possession story gained immense popularity. The good news is that the Ammons family found peace after relocating to Indianapolis, but the house and its history continued to draw a lot of attention. In 2014, Zach Bagans, presenter of Ghost Adventure and paranormal investigator, purchased the property from Ammons' landlord to film pseudo-documentary footage within. The Ammons house is going to receive even more attention, even though Bagans went on to demolish it. The Deliverance is a story that is being adapted for the big screen by Oscar nominee Lee Daniels. In 2024, it will be available to stream on Netflix and will star Caleb McLaughlin of Stranger Things. Number 1. The Californian Winchester Mystery House in San Jose. After the terrible deaths of several family members, an eccentric widow moved from her Connecticut home to the rural Santa Clara Valley of California in 1886 in an attempt to start again. Sarah Winchester, the billionaire heiress whose wealth came from the gun that won the West, an increasingly contentious truth, was not your typical widow. After moving to the Bay Area, far before the 19th Amendment and at the height of spiritualism, Winchester took charge of the never-ending construction of a sprawling home in San Jose, acting on her enthusiasm for architecture and design. She also controlled her own money, originally known as La Nida Villa, which she understood to mean house on flat land. The sprawling property is now more commonly known as the Winchester Mystery House. Legends about the strange woman and her perplexing home soon spread due to her secluded lifestyle, the rigid gender conventions of the time, and the blood money she was associated with. This sparked speculation among neighbors and the local press. The mansion was deemed worthless because of its intricate network of passageways, staircases that led straight up into the ceiling, doors that opened to nothing but thin air, and many elevators, despite being a modern marvel with indoor plumbing, a hot shower, and central heating at the time. Winchester's supporters insist she was not superstitious at all. Legends started to circulate, suggesting that her strange architectural choices were an attempt to drive off the ghosts of the dead murdered by the Winchester rifle. In any case, it's plausible that Winchester herself is still haunting the new museum's hallways. Did you like it? Tell us what you think of the video in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting videos.